Russell Center, where Dr. Muhammad was just telling you all about. Daniel and his company participated in the inaugural cohort of Main Street Entrepreneur Seed Fund back in 2019, in which their demo day took place 2 weeks before the entire world shut down for the pandemic. And while these two make their way to the room, I just want to acknowledge one other person that has joined us. We have another faculty member who has been teaching with us. I ran into this young lady at another event a week and a half ago, and we were just chatting, and I told her about this event today. She was like, I'd love to come and meet. So I just want to acknowledge me too. Is here. I see Dr. Muhammad has put his background on. So if you have any other questions, and that's how we do here, the hashtag Panther family, the state way. He's leaving and Matun has joined us. So if you have any other questions about faculty, Matun, who is also an entrepreneur in her own right, will be here and happy to chat with people. Thank you, Dr. Muhammad. Thank you. So I'd love to invite Megan and Daniel to the front of the room. Give them a round of applause, please. You don't need this. I need this. I put a seat up there. Thank you. Ma'am?
Somebody else coming up?
Nope. Oh. I don't sit still. There's too many people in the room. Have a seat. I'm good. So, Will, thank you. We'll just start, of course, with your journey. If each of you could just share a little bit about the story behind your entrepreneurial journey. What inspired you to start your business?
So as Erica said, I've been working in the public school system for over 7 years, and when the world shut down for COVID, it was really hard to engage students through that virtual medium. So I taught in predominantly Black and Brown, Title I, economically disadvantaged public schools, and the stuff on YouTube just wasn't hitting the same. There wasn't any people of color in those videos, there weren't any jokes, just wasn't engaging them, the kids weren't watching them. So me and my co-founder decided to start making animated videos on our own on YouTube, just completely pick it up as a hobby and see where it goes, and it just organically took off. If you're familiar with Magic School Bus, think Magic School Bus, but in all Black and Brown cast. It's rigorous, it's standards aligned. Our lead teacher is a Black male because that makes up the lowest percentage of educators in the United States. And it has full with like pop culture, Gen Z humor. And that right there, just like people around the world, the country, just started watching them, liking, subscribing, showing them in classrooms. So that's kind of what originated our idea. We decided that if our videos are taking off, why don't we decide to do a little bit more? Why don't we start developing more than just videos, more resources, more experiments, more slideshows. And we just started a nonprofit. We are a nonprofit where before we offered free educational resources. And as we developed, as we went through incubators like Main Street, we got more ideas of how to grow the business into a scalable and self-reliable entity. And that's where now we are offering to sell schools a digital learning platform full of all the resources that we have developed, all that engage Black and Brown students, but still very rigorous, still very standards aligned, still something that's going to get them to learn and succeed in the public schools that they are in. And then that's where we're at right now.
Wow.
Any questions?
The story behind your entrepreneurial journey, what inspired you to start a business?
Greetings, everyone. It's an honor to be here back at Georgia State. This is my alma mater, and this place is very special to me. Just the camaraderie, the family that you see here. Like, this is not just for an event. The way the staff treats you is an everyday thing. That's exactly what I want. So, yeah, I was in mortgages and real estate. Is where I started. That's where I started my entrepreneurial journey. And in 2009, the market really crashed, where real estate was just going bottom up, foreclosures, high interest rates, etc. And a lot of changes were going on. So I was working in a very high place. I don't know if you ever saw the movie Boiler Room, but it's like very high, productive meeting, gotta close, just close, everything, very intense. Stress. Good money, but high stress if you're not performing. So nonetheless, it was towards the end of the year, and my birthday was December 29th, and like usually if I'm working somewhere during that time, I try to group those days off so I can go into the new year, kind of refresh or whatnot. So I asked my manager, hey, can I take off? And he's like, oh, Fitch, you gotta close this deal, some impossible stuff. Like I couldn't pull it off, but it was more production talk, just trying to motivate me and get me going. And during that production meeting we have every Monday, he really picked on me to the point where he talked to another grown man like that, I was ready to do some things, and it just didn't. If I didn't have responsibility, I would have quit. But nonetheless, that day I had a wake-up call. I went down to the cafeteria, I bit a turkey gristle and broke my tooth.
No.
So like during that, I had to go get it extracted. I came back. I actually even sold the deal. But I woke up the next morning I was in terrible pain. Novocaine wore off, etc. And started calling up for the job to check on the deal I did have going. And it just got really murky, got really funny. People were just acting real funny to me. And my friend Faja, who was working at the front desk, she says, Daniel, I don't know what's going on. Your name is not in that system anymore. What happened? So I was like, oh, wow. So my heart started beating. Like, oh, shit. So I go next day, go to work, and walk past my manager's desk, and my box with all my belongings is like sitting there. And I'm like, wow. So in that moment though, I felt a very big relief. Because at the end of the day, I love the money. I did love helping people refinance and get rid of debt and stuff like that. But I wasn't doing what I wanted to do. I wasn't serving my purpose at all. And I got fired and I enrolled at Georgia State. So for the summer of 2010. But I got into my purpose, which is creating films, telling stories, which is, I was in African American Studies, which I learned about my roots, diaspora, and also film and video. So the energy on this campus is really what prompted me to create a business. Like, hold on, can I make money using my camera, helping businesses thrive? Really? And that's how natural leaders behave for.
So we talked a little bit about innovation. Dr. Muhammad mentioned innovation. Both of you are in fields where innovation is changing. By the time you create something, I'm sure by the time the ink is dry, it's already shifted. What role has innovation and technology played in the growth of both of your businesses? How do you stay current with technological advancements? I said in Daniel's bio that he's familiar with all kind of fancy equipment. That's because there was like 10 different things that he listed. And that's just, I'm sure, a small portion of the type of technology that he worked with. So I'm curious for both of you, what role has technology and innovation played in the growth of your business? And how do you both stay current with technological advancements as they continue to evolve so rapidly?
Yeah, right. Wow. Yeah, I mean, first, because a lot of, especially technology in the film space, it's expensive, period. But I teach a class called How to Shoot Professional Video with Your Smartphone. So I've been able to help C-level people, kids, students, anybody that has a cell phone, how to unlock the settings in your phone, how to really optimize what you have right here in front of you. And I really feel like that is the key within staying ahead of the curve, and really telling your own story. Everybody's fingerprint, everybody is unique. So what you tell is tech. How you present your message is technology. Like I saw lawyers in here, engineers, etc. So if you're ahead of those, I guess, curves, if you will, educators, you're gonna find new ways to innovate your own self. Me personally, yeah, like right now, both my A camera and my B camera are down. So I'm shooting with my cell phone. Like usually I would have a more advanced But in today's technology, you don't need it. Clean your daggone lens, get the best optimal out of your phone, and shoot. Just press record, and then
And let the magic happen.
let the magic happen.
I think for me, being of a less techie background, it's where building a team becomes important. For instance, when I pitched for Demo Day for Main Street, I won first place, but someone in that crowd was a software developer. He reached out to me, he's a black guy in Virginia who really fell in love with our mission and was like, hey, I'll build your platform for you. And then he's developed the entire platform for a really affordable price for us, and he's also gonna handle all the back end stuff as we onboard schools, and he's helping us write grants for the tech stuff that I don't have the lingo for, right? So, for instance, there's an Amazon grant that we applied for. Amazon said, give us a very thought out description of the design of your platform. I don't know that, right? I don't have the words. So I was like, hey, could you write this grant for me? Like, just answer this question. He wrote it, sent it back, and so now it's like a partnership between someone in the audience, and that goes with networking, that goes with the community, that comes from knowing people at Georgia State, just knowing what you know and what you don't know, and then those people that know stuff that you don't know are gonna help you innovate in the realms that you don't know.
Wow. And she mentioned platform, which she just shared with me for the first time while we were waiting, so the platform is live. Super excited. Yes,
Let me just
absolutely.
piggyback on that. I don't even think I answered the question, but tech, get with somebody who got it. Like, period. You know what I mean? Because like, if I get a gig or a project, I usually sub out to director of photography that are professional, that have red cameras, RE cameras, down the line, black magic, etc. So get with somebody that's in your field, like how y'all partnered up to utilize the latest technology.
Well, thank you. That leads me right into the next question, talking about leadership and team building, because obviously neither one of you have gotten here on your own. What qualities do you both believe are essential for an effective entrepreneur and leader?
Just knowing your strengths and knowing your weaknesses. For me, my strength is education. My strength is building curriculum, is talking to school people about the data from what our curriculum can do. It's making stuff for young kids to like. It's not so much the marketing side, it's not so much the software development side, it's not so much the video editing and the animation. But I need those things, and those things are gonna make me scale, and those things are gonna help build what I can create into something big. So it's knowing what you can do and staying in that lane, and finding people in the lanes that you don't, you're not so strong in. Finding good people to do it for you, because there's a lot of good people out there that want to do good work. You don't necessarily have to pay big bucks for them. They'll come to you if the work is truly aligned to your mission and what you really want to do.
Yeah, I would say being able to articulate what you do to somebody else.
Yeah.
How can you create your own clone and be able to manage them with that? That's, for me, has been the toughest thing, is managing somebody to do the things that I need them to do and articulating it to the point where I read this book called anyway, it's a Marine. It's about accountability. But anyway, within the Marines, they have this thing where they do this test, and there's 12 of them on a team, and the manager or the lead of this team, if they're running on the sand, and one person in there blows his calf or something like that, that manager is accountable for that team. So he has to rewind and say, why did your calf blow out? Maybe it's the nutrition that I gave you, but he's totally accountable for whatever he doesn't know what you do at night. He doesn't know how you train, etc. But he's accountable for you, for the success of his team. And that's really the approach that I try to take now after learning experiences, is that how do I cover my bases ahead? How do I think, how do I preempt you? How do I go 3, 4, 5 steps ahead of you? So you can jump over that pitfall that I may see that's a week ahead. And the other thing is listening to people, hearing them, actively listening. I have to repeat that. Listening to people, everybody has a voice, everybody wants to be heard, whether or not they're introvert, extrovert, whatever. When somebody speaks, they want to be heard, and they want to be respected. So even if you can respect them, even if you don't respect them, you know, and that's part of being a leader. You have to respect and give power to people's voices.
Absolutely. Sometimes, you know, in an argument, it's not about right or wrong. Like you said, the other person just wants to be heard. If you just be quiet, just pay attention and just hear them, that can diffuse the entire situation. Communication, one-on-one. So speaking of the unexpected, you know, we'll talk a little bit about resiliency and adaptability. How do you stay adaptable and resilient in the face of market changes and unexpected changes?
Shoot, man. Right. I mean, 'cause I feel like I'm in that right now in my journey as an entrepreneur in my business. You know, just staying certain. Malcolm talked about faith, staying faithful, whatever your faith is, believing, no matter how hard the road may get, really know and believe in yourself, your product, your service, that at some point you're gonna make it to whatever your goal and your vision is. At some point in this life, God willing, you will make it. Even when it's slow, that slow could be a week, it could be 2 years.
Right.
It's no definition for it. It's like sometimes I wake up like, oh God, why me? The why me syndrome. But it's like, you know, you look around and the other people that are doing way worse than you, don't have the opportunities that you have. But that doesn't negate your experience. You know, you can't just rest on that. You still have to put your best foot forward. Keep trying to reinvent yourself. I'm going through a rebrand of my business like right now because somebody told me my content was something, you know, and I'm like Eric Badu, you know, I'm sensitive about my stuff. So like, I'm ready to switch up. But I guess my point is just staying faithful to what, and being certain and confident about what you're doing.
I'm gonna retweet all of that. I feel like right now, especially being a nonprofit, before you can, just the revenue starts coming in, you're very reliant on grants, right? You're very reliant on people deciding if your mission is important enough to give money to. So I'm in a little lull phase right now. It hasn't been 2 years, maybe like a couple months, where I'm trying to get some grant funding. And it's being certain, it's being confident. Like, for example, with my little lull phase going on, they're sitting here and listening to Erica reading my introduction. I was like, okay, I guess I am. And that's what's important. Like, you have to keep surrounding yourself professionally and personally. Because personally, it's fine. Right? Like, my partner is going to be supportive regardless, but there's still some things that they can't understand about the entrepreneurship journey. And also, they're just like, shut up, stop talking about it. Right? Because they want to enjoy you as a person. So you need to have those friends, those entrepreneur friends, those professional friends that can also gas you up and like say all these good things to you, work with you, remind you of what your purpose is and what you're doing.
It's funny, when you guys go to LinkedIn, I call myself the chief cheerleader. I'm the chief cheerleader because my job is to continue just pumping people up and helping you believe in yourself. And we think that both of these folks are the bomb.com. That new documentary, which is on the internet, I don't think you can probably find it. You can watch it. It was supposed to be, and again, just talking about relationships and just showing up. Half of the battle is just showing up. Denise got a phone call. Hulu was looking for entrepreneurs here in Atlanta to interview, and she gave them Megan's name, and it was supposed to just be a phone conversation. It was supposed to be a phone conversation, but you hear her speak, you hear how dynamic it is. She is. It took 2 seconds for them to get roped in, and she's got a significant role in that video. So as you guys are in your room just chilling, pull it up, Hulu, Our America in the Black. It's the first episode. I think it's a 4-part docuseries, and it's the first
It's not the first episode.
Which one?
I think it's like 8 or 9.
Right.
Yes.
Oh wait, what's it?
It's on there. Go to Our America in the Black. Scroll down till you see.
Who's on the cover?
Gorillas on the cover. Just look for a description that talks about entrepreneurs in Atlanta and New York. And
if you remember, we'll put it up.
Our America in the Black, yeah.
But they talked about being confident, and it's so funny because Malcolm mentioned there's a million resources that we can share with you. But we were debating intensely about the exercise that we're going to do after this. And one idea was Simon Sinek. So if you didn't write that down when Dr. Muhammad was talking about it, Simon Sinek, S-I-N-E-K, he has like a top 10 TED Talk called Start With Why. It's 22 minutes. It's phenomenal. Start With Why, just Google it. It's all over YouTube. It should be like 25 minutes long. The question was whether we were going to do Start With Why or the exercise that we chose. So it's just funny how no matter who you talk to, a lot of the same things just continue to bowl up. So I wanted to make sure since they brought it up also, you just have to, in the core, know who you are, and as the kids say, stand on business, right? You got to stand on your business and know who you are. So that's something for you guys to look at. All right, so let's talk about going towards the future before we open this up for Q&A. How do you envision the future of your business evolving in the next 5 to 10 years?
In the next 5 to 10 years, I see myself as finally being able to leave my day job in the public school system, not because I want to, but because I'll get to serve more schools. I love education. I love working with students, and I love working with schools, but I want to expand that impact. So my goal is to work on my nonprofit full-time, have a bunch of different partnerships with schools across Georgia, hopefully outside of the state, see my curriculum just change the game and change those misconceptions that Black and brown kids can't excel in STEM and that are able to learn STEM and aren't smart enough to learn STEM. And I want all of that to change, and I want the test scores to come out looking good.
My vision is to be an international production company, satellite offices in Africa, Brazil, Atlanta, New York, LA, grow my team, my different programs or shows that I want to produce. So so if I have to say my dream out loud, it's really just obtaining a substantial slate deal, which means a production company or investor would give me X amount of dollars, in excess of $10 million to produce a slate of films or series. So that would be
Exactly. You gotta speak it. Speak it into it. Words are powerful. Speak it into existence. I literally spoke something into existence 10 minutes ago. Bennett, check your email. Spoke that right on up into existence. So then we'll open this up for Q&A. This is for a question. What's the most important piece of advice you would give to aspiring entrepreneurs, especially those of international backgrounds, and any final words of advice you'd like to impart to the fellows as they seek to be inspiring leaders with lasting impact?
Patience is not failure. Just wait it out. It's coming. Something ever happened to you, and it's like, wow, like somebody you break a finger or something. That first day you break the finger, it's like, oh my God, I gotta deal with this. But then a year or whatever, it's done, it's gone. It's a chapter that has came and went. So with any downfalls, what have you, I tell myself every day, it's like, all right, today can be the day that I take this step that I'm elevating my business to the next level. So I would say patience is not failure. Patience is actively waiting. And then my other thing is my 7-year-old daughter told me this. I was taking her to school, and I usually ask her like before I drop her off, like, what should I do today? She says, impress yourself. That was
Whoa.
Right.
Whoa.
And then if you really unpack that, like, do we impress ourselves? Like, think about about just you. You impress yourself. You look in the mirror like, yo, yeah, you know, I feel like with social media, it takes, you know, you challenge yourself, you look at this person, they're doing this, they're doing that, and that comparative analysis is dangerous. So, impress yourself.
The two he said, but also, as Erica said earlier, show up, right? Keep doing fellowships, right? Keep finding incubators, keep finding accelerators, keep networking, keep going up to places like Ellen and Tech Village, and like just put yourself in opportunities to meet different people that will steer those lanes that you don't really know much about. That has been the biggest help to my business. Is I just apply for accelerators, and then I learn from the mentors in those accelerators, and I learn from the people in those accelerators. And that has been the biggest piece of advice I give. Don't stop learning.
Just show up. Show up. Again, we're a small team. The four of us, me, Teresa, LaShondra, Denise, that's it. It's the four of us. And we get tons of stuff thrown at us all the time. Phenomenal opportunities. The opportunities are all good. But as Risha quickly found out, I cannot physically be in two places at one time. She tried it, it didn't work. So it's just about showing up. And a couple weeks ago, we had an event that we weren't able to go to. I ended up going. It was an hour away. Traffic was horrible in Atlanta. I showed up, and Matune sat next to me. We've been technically, working in E&I for over a year. I'd never seen her. I'd only seen her on Zoom. She sat right next to me. I didn't even recognize her. But we got a chance to finally meet in person. We chatted about what was going on. I told her about this event. She is here. So you just never know. Sometimes you just have to show up on faith. Show up on faith. And like you said, you never know. Things happen for a reason. I was having a really funky day and was in my head and thinking about stuff that I shouldn't have been thinking about and moving too fast and tripped and broke my foot. I'm supposed to have a boot on, but the boot didn't go with the outfit. So, trying to be cute. And in my mind, I took that as the universe telling me you worried about the wrong things. Slow down, because the broken foot definitely slowed me down. Slow down and just refocus. Refocus, everything's gonna be okay, and it will be. So we'd like to open the floor. We've got a few minutes for Q&A. All right, so we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We'll start there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, 1.
My question is to you, Megan. You said you're working at the same time and you're running your business, and it sometimes becomes difficult to show up and find those opportunities while holding down a full-time job. What words of advice would you have for somebody who's trying to juggle both of these and more at the same time?
Yeah, that's a great question. For me, it's like working double overtime. But luckily on my part, my business aligns directly with my day job. So like what I make, the curriculum I make in the business, I can use in the school that I'm at. And that's lucky for me. I know it's not so lucky for other people. Like you might be a financer who wants to pursue film, but you got a day job in finance and you pursue, so it doesn't directly align. My advice is it requires a support system. For my partner, like my family, just she knows you can work this amount, X amount, but this amount has to be spent here. But also having that support system that's okay, if you need this amount from this time, go ahead and go do it, right? You need a cheerleader and a supporter. You need time management. Before starting a business, I operated in organized chaos, and I realized as a business leader, organized chaos is not for everybody. That you need. So I had to undo all that organized chaos in my head and make a calendar, make a schedule, put stuff on my phone calendar, and now when I have lunch dates with friends, it's on my calendar, right? Because I have so much up here that I can forget if I have to go to lunch, right? So support system, time management, and then rest, right? And exercise. Making time, because there was a point last year where I was not exercising anymore. I was eating like crap. And I was gaining weight, and just cause I wanted to finish the task for either day job or business instead of doing that, and I stopped doing that. So just getting back into exercise has really cleared my mind and helped me show up for better in both places at the same time. So I hope that.
I'm taking the summer to try and practice what we preach and do some things that I don't get to do during the year. And I just listened to a webinar that talked about micro productivity, where you may want to spend 4 hours working on the business. You don't have that time. You'd be surprised how much you can get done in 15 minutes. You set the clock, 15 minutes, and just start. So even if you have a list of 30 things to do, if you can just get one thing done, or at least one thing started, you'd be surprised over time. Now, the method is like, every day you take 15 minutes. You may not get to it every day, but just carve out and put it on the calendar. Because if it's not on the calendar, it's not gonna happen. Try micro productivity.
And I do want to add something. Something that I'm moving towards is like, there will be a time where you do have to take the leap, right? You have to leave the day job and focus on your business. Like, I know not, like, I don't come from like a lot of money, right? So like, I have to have a job to pay bills. But everyone that I know in my entrepreneurial spirit that kind of started as me, they're like, stuff didn't happen until you quit your day job. Like, stuff didn't happen even if it wasn't ready, even if the money in the business wasn't there yet. Like, because you still have to do all of those day things. Like you asked, like, how do you get all this stuff done with the day job? So there will be a time, but I feel like that time you'll know when it is, right? You won't be sitting here like, no, I need to, like, I will know. And then that's when my life will come. So.
Thank you.
So, thank you for the nice presentation. My question is based on values. To be a successful entrepreneur, you have to take very, very significant risks. But I want to understand, where do you draw the line between your personal values and your business interests? And have you ever been in a situation where you have had to decide on either taking a gig or just rejecting it based on what you have identified as the values?
Oh yeah, all the time. So I started a business for my values. Like, the name of my company is Natural Leaders Media, which I believe all of us are leaders naturally. That's where the core of the name comes. And media, for me, is spread love to underrepresented people that look like me, right? That's media, like I'll speak. In media, everything you see, I'm sure some of the ideals that y'all saw on the continent when you got here, you're like, oh, that's not what I saw, what I thought it was. So my thing is to create the narrative of what we're doing. So to answer your question, I've had plenty of gigs. Some I've taken, some I've turned down. And then, to be honest with you, it really depends on my financial state. Sometimes, which I hate, but sometimes it does dictate whether or not I take this gig. Do I pay my mortgage, or do I go against my values and listen to this? It was a music video. I love hip hop. I'm a hip hop head. But there's some content that I'm like, nah, I'm not shooting that. Like, there's an example, young black guy. He showed me an example of how he wanted his video. It's guns, drugs. I'm like, no, bro, I'm not pointing my camera and you pointing a gun at me. I don't care. Anyway, it's just the point. And then it's like, I have a daughter. I have young people that I don't want to. I gotta practice what I preach. So I feel like what's for me is for me. So if I have to turn that down, I turn it down. But as far as values, I instill my values in what I do. Like, I feel like I deliver elite customer service to my clients. So what that means is I'm attentive, I'm gonna listen, and then I'm trying to align myself with people that are kind of in alignment with the things that I have values.
Start with why. You can never go wrong. You start with your why. Okay?
Yes, thank you.
You got 3,
Yes.
4, 5, and then you'll be the last question. But you did have your hand up. You did have your hand up. Are you guys okay on time? I want to be respectful of both of them. Okay.
Yes. So, express yourself, do what you love. This is what I learned from your and it is so powerful. So thank you for being here with us. My question is, what is the most difficult situation you have faced as an entrepreneur, and how do you make a balance between your personal life and professional life as an entrepreneur?
For me, my most difficult experience is getting out of is the development of me as like a teacher into an entrepreneur, right? And so like when I started the nonprofit, I didn't want to charge schools, I didn't want to charge teachers, I wanted to go that full social impact, free everything, right? Like everyone gets everything for free. And then Bill's like, hey. It was different though because I was getting grant funding too, so I really didn't have to pay for anything. So I wanted like free platform, free resources, free this, free. Then all the money ran out, right? Because the built platform ran out in a good way. Everything was done building. Now we have to maintain. So now like kind of shifting into that mindset of there's so much money in the school market and in the ed tech market that I can get and it won't affect teachers and students directly. So it's just kind of changing, shifting and adapting, like knowing when an experience gets tough, it just means you kind of have to learn something new, right? Because you don't know it, and don't just like shut it away because you don't know it. Go and try to find the steps of undoing it. Because it might, a lot of the time, it's when something's tough and someone says something you don't like, you probably need to learn it. It's probably good for you. You're just uncomfortable with it, especially when you're growing as an entrepreneur. So like a lot of people kind of shut down my whole like free. Actually, MK was the first one to do it, right, in Main Street. And MK was like, no, you can make so much money off of this. Like, no, shut it down and let's do that. And it's being accepting and open to that. So mentorship will come in when you experience those difficult experiences. Fellowship will come in when you experience it. That confidence that we talked about, the impressing yourself, all that will come in when you do face those experiences.
4 and 5 are at this table.
My question is to you, Megan. With your nonprofit, when you did secure funding, what do you think you did right to secure it or to convince them to give you the funding? And when you had difficulties in getting the funding, what do you think is lacking?
Oh yeah, I know this answer very well. So when I get grants that are, I want to say, so my organization is 2 years old. So we're still fairly new. It's pretty much a 2-3 man team. And when I get funding that's like below 50,000. So 50,000 and below is what I'm really good at getting. And that's because my why is strong. When it's 50,000 and below, those organizations that are giving the funding are looking for small organizations trying to make impact, that really know their why, that really know their mission, that has some metrics on success, but it's not like a long-term thing. My next stage right now, which is my low phase, is trying to get grants that are 100K and above, sustaining for a long period of time, so I don't have to write as many grants. But a lot of the feedback I got on that was the small minor things like the metrics and the timeline, right? You really have to know what you're asking for funding for, what data is that going to bring back, what data has it shown that you've already gotten, and what data is there about the marketplace that you're trying to get, right? So data. Like immediate data too. Grant funders don't want something that they're going to fund you for today, and you're going to get data back on it like 2 years from now, 3 years from now. They don't want to fund tech platforms, which is why it's hard for me to get grants right now. They want something that if they give you $10 right now, they know exactly where that $10 is going. It's going to make an impact right there when you spend it. Right, so that's my advice to you. If you are looking for grant funding, you need to have something, especially foundations, which give out the big bucks. You need to have a tangible experience that money is going to be spent on, and they need to be able to write a report on that that's going to say that student was affected. That person. Oh, what was I saying? A tangible experience that when you get the money, they know exactly what is impacting. So $100 will fund